Two people can earn the same salary, work the same number of hours, and live in the same city, but a few years later, be in completely different financial situations. One is more at ease, with money saved and new opportunities arising. The other remains tight, always counting the days until the next payment. What created this difference wasn't luck nor extraordinary intelligence. It was the way each learned to think about money. Most financial difficulties don't stem from lack of income, but from the way money is used. It comes into the account, but leaves quickly, usually on things that bring immediate satisfaction and little future result. It's as if the person is always rewarding the present and completely forgetting about tomorrow. Small decisions repeated every month end up building a pattern that drags on for years. People who get rich aren't necessarily those who earn more. They're the ones who direct better. They understand that each reel can have two functions: consume or build. Consuming gives pleasure now, building gives freedom later. Those who only consume live trapped to the next salary. Those who start building even with little begin to change course. There's a set of choices that appears repeatedly in the lives of those who get out of tight spots and build stability. They're not luxurious choices, nor complicated ones. They're strategic decisions about where to put money, so it generates growth instead of just expenses. There are four types of investments that change how financial life evolves over time. And it all starts in the mind. Before changing the bank account, you need to change the way you see money, because the real financial turnaround doesn't happen when you earn more. It happens when you start using better what you already earn. Most people buy a phone or computer as a form of entertainment. It's for social networks, videos, messages, games, and distraction. None of this is wrong, but when an expensive device is used only for consumption, it becomes just another expense that doesn't bring financial return. Now, when the same tool is used to learn, produce, and generate income, it stops being an expense and becomes an investment. Think of your phone or computer as if it were a small portable company. Inside it, there's access to courses, digital books, work platforms, creation tools, editing, sales, and communication with the whole world. It's never been so possible to transform knowledge into income without leaving home. But this only happens when the person decides to use the device with intention, not just by habit. Many people say they don't have opportunity, but spend hours a day with a powerful machine in their hands, using it only to scroll the screen. Meanwhile, other people use the same type of device to learn a new skill, offer services, create content, sell products, work as a freelancer, or build a second source of income. The difference isn't in the device, it's in the mentality of who uses it. When you buy or already own a phone or computer, the question stops being, which model do I have? And becomes, what am I producing with it? It can be a distraction center that consumes your time, or a tool that builds your future. It can be something that drains your attention, or something that increases your income. Transforming your device into a money-making machine starts with a simple decision. Use part of your time to learn something the market values and apply it in practice. It can be editing, writing, online sales, design, teaching, organization, customer service, programming, or any skill that solves other people's problems. The device stops being just technology and becomes a means of growth. People who build wealth see tools differently. They don't just ask how much it costs, they ask how much it can yield. And when you start looking at what you already have in your hands as an income-generating instrument, you take one of the most important steps to leave passive consumption and enter the active construction of your financial life. There's a silent habit that appears frequently in the lives of people who build wealth over time. They read constantly, not because they have time to spare, but because they understand that reading is one of the cheapest and most powerful ways to accelerate their own growth. While many see books as an expense, people with a growth mindset see them as a direct investment in their own mind. A book can cost less than a pizza, less than a simple dinner out, but the right knowledge can change decisions involving thousands over a lifetime. A single concept learned about money, business, or behavior can prevent years of mistakes or open doors to opportunities that would otherwise go unnoticed. The return isn't immediate like that of entertainment, but it's much deeper and longer lasting. Financially successful people understand that opportunities don't appear with a sign saying "Get rich here." They appear disguised as problems to solve, emerging trends, people's needs changing. Those who read frequently train their minds to see these opportunities more clearly. Reading expands the way of thinking, improves decision-making, and strengthens discipline. 3 essential pillars for growing financially. In addition, books help change the emotional relationship with money. Many financial difficulties don't come just from lack of information, but from limiting beliefs, fear of investing, guilt about earning more, habit of spending to compensate for frustrations. By learning from other people's experience, often people who started from zero and built wealth, you begin to adjust your own mentality, almost as if you were receiving mentorship for a very low cost. Reading also develops patience and focus, rare qualities in a world of quick distractions. And these qualities are the same ones needed to save, invest, and wait for results to grow over time. Those who train their mind to go to the end of a book also become more prepared to go to the end of a financial plan. When you buy the right book, you're not just acquiring printed pages. You're buying years of condensed experience, mistakes you won't need to make, and ideas that can change your trajectory. It's one of the most accessible investments that exist, but many ignore it because they don't perceive the power it has to transform the way of thinking and, as a consequence, the way of earning and taking care of money. One of the biggest turnarounds in financial life happens when the person understands the difference between asset and liability. Before that, it's common to work hard, earn money, and still always remain tight. After this key turns, every purchase decision has an impact on the future. Simply put, assets put money in your pocket over time, liabilities take money out of your pocket over time. The problem is that most people use a large part of their income to buy liabilities thinking they're moving up in life. They change cars, increase installments, take on new fixed expenses, fill their lives with things that seem like progress, but in practice, increase financial pressure every month. Money comes in and already has a certain destination to go out. Meanwhile, people who build wealth direct part of what they earn to buy assets. It can be an investment, a small business, something that generates extra income or that increases in value over time. At first, it may seem like little, but assets have a powerful characteristic. They can grow and start working in your place. Imagine that every month you buy something that requires maintenance, installments, and expenses. Your income always needs to increase to sustain your standard of living. Now imagine that, little by little, you buy things that generate income, even if it's little at first. Over time, this extra income starts to pay bills, relieve the budget, and open space for new investments. It's like getting off a treadmill that never stops and climbing a staircase that keeps taking you up. This doesn't mean never buying anything to enjoy life again. It means not letting consumption come before construction. First, you strengthen the base, then you increase comfort with more security. Those who invert this order live under pressure. Those who respect this sequence build stability. Assets are financial seeds. At first they seem small and even insignificant, but over time and with consistency, they grow, multiply, and change your reality. Liabilities, on the other hand, are like permanent commitments that require constant effort to maintain. When you start asking, before each important purchase, will this put money in my pocket or take it out? You stop acting on impulse and start acting with strategy. And this change of question, repeated over the years, is one of the biggest factors responsible for transforming ordinary people into financially free ones. Many people want to invest, save money, and grow financially, but try to do this while carrying debts with high interest. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you put inside, part of it is always escaping. Debts with high interest, such as credit cards and overdrafts, work against you every day. While investments make money grow over time, debt interest makes what you owe grow, and fast. It's an unfair game because interest is almost always higher than any return you could get by investing at the same time. That's why paying off debts isn't just organizing life. It's one of the most important investments someone can make. Each debt eliminated is like guaranteeing a certain return, because you stop paying interest that was only delaying your financial evolution. It's money that stops going to the bank and starts staying with you. In addition to the impact on the pocket, there's also a mental impact. Constant debts generate worry, take away tranquility, and make the person make decisions in desperation. When you reduce or eliminate these pending issues, you gain clarity to plan, invest, and think about the future with more security. Financial freedom doesn't start when you invest a lot. It starts when you stop sinking. Paying debts requires discipline and sometimes temporary sacrifices, cuts, adjustments, and simpler choices for a period. But this effort has a deadline and brings real relief. Unlike impulse purchases, which give quick pleasure and long bills, paying off debts can be uncomfortable now, but builds stability later. Those who learn to prioritize the elimination of high interest create a solid foundation. From there, all the money that was previously sucked up by installments and charges can be redirected to investments, reserves, and wealth building. It's like getting out of a hole and finally getting back to walking on firm ground, where every step forward really counts. In the end, financial freedom isn't born from a stroke of luck, nor from a single unexpected gain. It's built in the silent decisions of everyday life, especially in the way you choose to use the money that passes through your hands. Each choice carries a direction. Either you strengthen your future, or you just feed the present. Investing in yourself, learning, acquiring tools that generate income, buying assets, and eliminating debts are attitudes that seem simple individually, but powerful when repeated over time. The secret isn't in doing something extraordinary once, but in making smart choices consistently. Small right decisions, repeated for years, create results that many people call luck, but which are actually consequence. The real turnaround happens when you stop asking, "What can I buy now?" and start asking, "What will improve my financial life later?" This change of focus takes you off the autopilot of consumption and puts you in control of your financial destiny. Financial freedom is, above all, freedom of choice. And it begins the moment you decide that your money will work in your favor, not against you. After the person understands these 4 investments, something starts to change in a silent but very powerful way. They stop looking at money just as something to spend and start seeing it as a life-building tool. This alters small, everyday decisions. That impulse purchase starts to be questioned. That automatic expense starts to be analyzed. It's not that the person stops enjoying life, but they start choosing better. Over time, this new mentality creates a cumulative effect. Less wasted money means more available money. More available money means more capacity to invest. More investments mean more return in the future. It's a positive cycle that replaces the old negative cycle of earning, spending everything, and starting from zero every month. Another important point is that this change brings clarity. Before, the person feels they work hard and never get anywhere. Afterwards, they begin to see progress, even if small at first. And visible progress generates motivation. Motivation reinforces discipline. Discipline maintains good habits, and good habits build lasting results. It's also at this stage that you begin to realize that getting rich isn't just about money, but about control. Control of decisions, time, priorities. When money stops being a constant source of pressure, it becomes an ally in building the life you want to live. This reduces stress, improves planning, and allows you to think more long-term. The truth is simple but powerful. Wealth isn't built in big, isolated moments, but in consistent choices made when nobody is looking. It's in the ordinary day, in the small decision, in the repeated habit that financial future is shaped. And the sooner this awareness enters your life, the more time you give for results to grow in your favor. When you adopt this more strategic financial mentality, you begin to notice a clear change in how you see your own effort. Before, working was just a way to pay bills. Now, working becomes a means of generating resources that can be multiplied. Salary stops being the end of the line and becomes the starting point. This even changes the way you face income increases. Many people earn more and simply increase their standard of living in the same proportion. Result, they still have nothing left over. But those who develop financial intelligence do differently. When income grows, part of the standard of living can even improve, but another part is directed to assets, learning, and financial security. Thus, each professional advance also transforms into patrimonial advance. Over time, this posture creates a new sensation, security. Not that false security based on easy credit or high card limit, but the real security of having reserve, investments, and fewer obligations weighing every month. This base brings tranquility to deal with unforeseen events and courage to seize opportunities that would previously be too scary. You also begin to understand that saying no to certain expenses isn't loss, it's strategy. Every time you avoid unnecessary consumption, you're in practice financing your future freedom. You're buying time, options, and tranquility down the road. And that has much more value than the quick satisfaction of a thoughtless purchase. Little by little, financial life stops being a survival cycle and becomes a construction project. You no longer live putting out fires all the time. You start planning, anticipating, and growing with intention. And this is the big turnaround, leaving reactive mode, where money is always lacking, and entering strategic mode, where each decision has a greater purpose. When these decisions become part of your routine, something very important happens. Time stops being your enemy and begins to become your ally. At first, results seem small, sometimes almost imperceptible. But just as a tree doesn't grow overnight, wealth also develops gradually. Those who give up too early never see the phase when results start to accelerate. Money has an interesting behavior when it's well directed. It tends to multiply. Small investments made with consistency begin to generate returns. These returns can be reinvested, and this accumulated effect over the years creates an enormous difference between those who started early to build and those who spent the same time just consuming. In addition to financial growth, there's personal growth that happens alongside. You become more patient, more disciplined, more aware of your own choices. You start making decisions with less impulse and more long-term vision. And these qualities don't just help with money. They improve your professional life, family life, and even your emotional health. Another powerful change is that you start to see opportunities where you previously saw only difficulties. A new skill can become extra income. A common problem can turn into a service. A people's need can become a small business. Your mind stops being focused only on spending and becomes trained to create, solve, and grow. In the long term, this combination of mentality, habits, and financial decisions builds something that goes far beyond money. It builds freedom to choose with less pressure, to say no to what doesn't make sense, to say yes to opportunities, to live with more tranquility and less constant fear of the next bill. And all this starts in the simplest way possible, choosing to use better the money that already passes through your hands today. When these decisions become part of your routine, something very important happens. Time stops being your enemy and begins to become your ally. At first, results seem small, sometimes almost imperceptible. But just as a tree doesn't grow overnight, wealth also develops gradually. Those who give up too early never see the phase when results start to accelerate. Money has an interesting behavior when it's well directed. It tends to multiply. Small investments made with consistency begin to generate returns. These returns can be reinvested, and this accumulated effect over the years creates an enormous difference between those who started early to build and those who spent the same time just consuming. In addition to financial growth, there's personal growth that happens alongside. You become more patient, more disciplined, more aware of your own choices. You start making decisions with less impulse and more long-term vision. And these qualities don't just help with money. They improve your professional life, family life, and even your emotional health. Another powerful change is that you start to see opportunities where you previously saw only difficulties. A new skill can become extra income. A common problem can turn into a service. A people's need can become a small business. Your mind stops being focused only on spending and becomes trained to create, solve, and grow. In the long term, this combination of mentality, habits, and financial decisions builds something that goes far beyond money. It builds freedom. Freedom to choose with less pressure, to say no to what doesn't make sense, to say yes to opportunities, to live with more tranquility and less constant fear of the next bill. And all this starts in the simplest way possible, choosing to use better the money that already passes through your hands today. As your financial mentality evolves, you begin to realize that you're not just accumulating money, but building options. And having options changes everything. Option not to accept any job out of desperation. Option to deal with an unforeseen event without panicking. Option to help a family member without sinking together. Money when well managed, transforms into margin of choice. This margin brings a sensation that many people have never experienced, breathing more easily when thinking about the future. Not because everything is resolved, but because there's a plan in progress. You know where you're going. Each investment, each debt eliminated, each skill learned becomes part of a larger structure, as if you were building brick by brick the foundation of your independence. It also changes the way you compare yourself to others. Before, comparison was based on who seemed to have more: better car, new clothes, frequent trips. Now the focus shifts to who is more stable, who has fewer debts, who has more freedom of time and choice. You realize that appearance of wealth and real wealth are very different things. Another important point is that you begin to value silent progress. Not every advance needs to be shown. Many of the smartest financial decisions happen away from eyes, without applause, without immediate recognition. But these are exactly the discrete decisions that, over time, create a solid foundation that nobody can take from you. This journey also teaches patience. We live in an era that promises quick results for everything, but building financial stability follows another logic: constancy, discipline, and long-term vision. When you accept this pace, you stop getting frustrated with immediate results and start trusting the process. In the end, the biggest gain isn't just the accumulated money, but the person you become during the journey. More aware, more strategic, and more prepared to deal with the future with balance and security. At a certain point in your financial journey, you realize that there are two types of life: one that is sustained by constant income, and one that is sustained by patrimony. Those who live only on income need to continue working at the same pace to keep everything running. If income stops, the structure shakes. But those who build patrimony gradually create a base that continues standing even when work intensity changes. This changes your relationship with time. Before, every month started practically from zero. New bills, new pressures, same race. After you start accumulating assets, reserves, and investments, each month is no longer a restart. It's a continuation. Past effort begins to sustain the present, and this brings a sensation of real progress, not just survival. You also come to understand that wealth isn't noise, it's structure. Many people make noise to appear financially well. They show consumption, flaunt visible achievements, but behind the scenes live pressured by debts and lack of reserve. But true construction is silent. It happens in statements, in applications, in decisions that nobody applauds, but that strengthen your base month after month. This awareness brings financial maturity. You stop seeking validation in purchases and start seeking security in choices. Instead of thinking, "What will others think?" you start thinking, "Does this strengthen or weaken my future?" This simple change of question avoids many expensive mistakes. Over time, this posture transforms not only your bank account, but your posture before life. You feel less pressured to prove something and more focused on building something. Less anxiety for immediate results and more confidence in the path being trodden. And it's exactly like this, in a discreet, consistent, and strategic way, that ordinary people build a financially strong life, not based on moments of luck, but on well-made decisions repeated over the years. And when you put it all together, right mentality, conscious decisions, strategic investments, and discipline over time, you realize that wealth isn't a distant destination for the few. It's a path built step by step by ordinary people who decided to stop living on autopilot and start acting with intention. It's not about never making mistakes, but about making fewer mistakes, learning more, and adjusting the route whenever necessary. Each better choice you make today makes your life easier tomorrow. Each real, well-directed becomes a brick in the construction of your freedom. And over time, what seemed difficult begins to become natural. You stop fighting against money and start making money work in your favor. If this video helped you see money in a different way, go ahead and leave your like to strengthen the channel. And if you want to continue learning how to organize your financial life, increase your income, and build wealth with intelligence, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This way, you won't miss the next content that could be the next step in your financial turnaround.